September 12, 1958, 11:47 p.m. Lennox Lounge, Harlem. The room was alive with jazz, smoke curling lazily toward the ceiling as glasses clinked and deals were whispered between sips of cognac. In the corner, wearing a perfectly tailored grey suit and his signature fedora resting beside him, sat Ellsworth Bumpy Johnson, the most powerful man in Harlem. Behind him stood Big Sam Foster. For 5 years, Sam had been more than a bodyguard. He was family. He'd taken bullets, broken bones, and sleepless nights protecting the man Harlem called its king. But tonight, Sam's hand trembled inside his jacket, fingers wrapped around the cold steel of a .38 Special. Because tonight, Big Sam wasn't protecting Bumpy Johnson. He was there to kill him. $50,000. That was the price the Italian 5 families had put on Bumpy's head, a fortune in 1958. Enough to buy silence, loyalty, or betrayal, depending on the man holding the gun. And the 5 families were desperate. For years, they had tried to take Harlem. The numbers racket alone was worth millions, nickels and dimes from poor families adding up to a gold mine. But every time they pushed in, they hit the same wall. Bumpy Johnson, he wasn't just a gangster, he was protection. When landlords threatened families, Bumpy paid the rent. When police harassed black-owned businesses, phone calls were made and problems disappeared. Harlem wasn't just his territory, it was his responsibility. The Italians tried muscle, their enforcers left on stretchers. They tried money, Bumpy refused. They tried politics, Bumpy had better connections. So they changed tactics. Instead of attacking Bumpy directly, they decided to turn the one man he trusted most. Big Sam. Sam had a weakness, and they found it fast. His youngest daughter was sick. Hospital bills were stacking higher than his loyalty could carry. And when the Italians made their move, they didn't threaten Sam's life. They threatened her future. By the time Sam walked into Lennox Lounge that night, the decision was already made. The plan was simple. 1 shot to the back of the head. Disappear into the night. New names. New life. Bumpy sat with his back turned, vulnerable, distracted. Sam stepped closer. 6 feet. 4. 2. He drew the gun, aimed carefully, and pulled the trigger. Click. And in that single sound, everything changed. Because what Sam didn't know, what the Italians didn't know, was that Bumpy Johnson had been waiting for this moment for 3 weeks. And he was about to show Harlem what real power looked like. 3 weeks earlier, Big Sam Foster stood in the hallway of a charity hospital, staring through a glass window at his daughter's bed. Tuberculosis had drained the color from her face, turning her breathing shallow and labored. Every cough felt like a countdown. The doctors were blunt. Treatment cost money Sam didn't have, and time she didn't either. That was when the black Cadillac appeared. It rolled up quietly outside Sam's apartment. One August afternoon, smooth and deliberate, the window slid down, revealing a man with a calm smile and sharp eyes, Tony Maroney, known to the streets as the Collector. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't threaten. He didn't need to. Instead, he spoke the truth. Loyalty doesn't pay hospital bills. 5 minutes later, Sam was sitting in the back seat, staring at a briefcase filled with neatly stacked $100 bills. $50,000. Enough to save his daughter, enough to change his family's life forever. All for 1 bullet. Sam didn't answer that day, but the seed had been planted, and desperate men don't need much time to grow desperate decisions. 3 days later, Sam made the call. I'm in. What Sam never realized was that the moment he stepped into that Cadillac, someone else had already noticed. Bumpy Johnson had eyes everywhere. Bartenders, cab drivers, shoeshine boys, people the Italian mob never bothered to see. One of them, a parking attendant named Jerome, recognized the car, recognized the face. And within hours, Bumpy knew exactly who had approached his bodyguard. Most men would have reacted immediately. 1 phone call, 1 quiet disappearance, problem solved. Bumpy didn't. Instead, he watched. He noticed Sam's shaking hands, his distant eyes, the weight he carried but never spoke about, and Bumpy understood something crucial. This wasn't greed. This was fear. So Bumpy made a move the Italians would never predict. He didn't eliminate the traitor. He set a trap. A gunsmith in Brooklyn was paid to create a perfect weapon, identical in weight, feel, and appearance to Sam's gun. But it was dead. No firing pin, no bullet, just a click. While Sam was sent on an errand across town, Bumpy's men entered his apartment and made the swap. From that moment on, the outcome was locked in. All Bumpy had to do now was wait. He needed Sam to pull the trigger, not to kill him, but to expose himself, to reveal his betrayal in front of witnesses, to send a message not just to one man, but to the entire underworld. By the time September 12th arrived, Bumpy Johnson wasn't worried. He was ready. And Big Sam was walking straight into a moment that would haunt him for the rest of his life. The click echoed louder than a gunshot. For half a second, no one moved. The jazz band froze mid-note. Conversations died in the air. 300 people stared as Big Sam stood behind Bumpy Johnson with a useless gun shaking in his hand. Bumpy didn't flinch. He lifted his glass, took a slow sip of cognac, then gently set it down. Only then did he turn around. His eyes met Sam's, and in that look was something far worse than rage. Disappointment. "I've been counting on you." 5 words, calm, quiet, final. Sam's legs gave out. The gun slipped from his fingers and clattered onto the floor. In that moment, he understood everything. The approach, the money, the plan. Bumpy had known all of it, and instead of killing him, Bumpy had let him destroy himself in front of Harlem. "I know about your daughter," Bumpy said, his voice carrying through the silent room. "I've known for months." He placed an envelope on the table. Inside were paid medical bills, every last one, and a check for $5,000. "You think I don't take care of my people?" Bumpy stood up. He wasn't tall, but the room felt smaller when he did. "You're leaving Harlem tonight," he said. "You'll take your family and disappear. If I ever see you again, there won't be mercy. And when the Italians ask what happened here, you tell them the truth." Sam nodded through tears. Then he turned and walked out of Lennox Lounge, carrying a betrayal heavier than any prison sentence. Bumpy faced the room. "The Italians think they can buy us," he said. "They think they can divide us. They think Harlem is for sale." He raised his glass. "They're wrong." By morning, the story had spread from New York to every major city on the East Coast. The 5 families met in emergency session. After years of bloodshed and failed plans, they reached a conclusion no one thought possible. Harlem was untouchable. Bumpy Johnson had won without firing a shot. He lived another decade, and died not by violence, but by fate. Ironically, in the same lounge where he proved that real power isn't about pulling the trigger. It's about knowing when the trigger will be pulled, because the most dangerous weapon isn't a gun. It's being 3 moves ahead.